we do is what we call an anchor, and that's just getting comfortable in your environment. So when you get in the cage, you kind of find something, and you do every time. It could be somebody in the audience, it can be a logo, it can be something like that, and you just kind of look at it or do the same routine every time. And what that does is when you're training, you can do it right before you spar or whatever, and then when you're fighting, you do the same thing, and so it helps you feel more comfortable. So that visualization, that using a cue to breathe and relax and kind of get in the sense and the spirit of the fight is a very important thing.
Some fighters are killers in the gym, but they're not able to replicate that in a fight. Why do you feel that happens, and what are you able to do as a coach to prevent that from happening?
Well, the gym warrior it's a complicated animal. Usually, it's because people overthink things. They're so good in the gym because they think about it. They want this technique, that technique, but that same process leads to what I call a false logic. And what a false logic is that you start thinking about all the pressure, you think about all these things that can happen to you. Instead of just flipping your switch and dealing with it and going, you allow expectations to weigh on you. You overthink every little thing, and that can paralyze and stunt you. And so it seems logical that you would want to think about those things, but in fact, it's a false logic. You would actually just want to move those things to the side and just perform and just focus on keeping the main thing, and that's the performance.
I do believe that mental toughness can be trained and developed in a person.
There's no doubt that mental toughness can be trained and developed. I've seen personally, that you start in one place, and through a process, you become almost a different person. It's guiding, it's making sure that it's done in the right way. It's breaking down and building up. It's a very complicated process, but absolutely, I've seen it so many times that I can't even count.
You've said before that fighters need to be optimists. Why is that? Why do you feel that fighters need to be optimists?
If you're a pure pragmatist, if you're somebody that is just purely pragmatic about everything, then there's no room for I'm going to win.
Right.
In other words, a fighter should always say, no matter what, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. A pragmatist would be like, well, technically this guy's more skilled than I am here, and here, and here, and so I shouldn't win. And as soon as you get that self-doubt, and self-doubt leads to a downward spiral. But if you're an optimist, if you're saying, I don't care what he's got or what he does, I'm just going to win, that allows you to believe. And sometimes self-belief carries you a long way. And if you're a fighter, you have to think that way. Like, you have to think you're going to win no matter what. A great example of that is when we were coaching Rashad,
Yeah.
and we fought Chuck Liddell. Everybody's like, Chuck Liddell is just going to sprawl on Rashad and knock him out. Like, there's no way Rashad ever is going to win that fight. And if you look at it on paper, they're right. However, he came out and he knocked him out. So that's the optimist versus the pragmatist.
And now, do you feel there needs to be a balance between confidence, complete confidence in yourself, and also humility in a fighter? Like, is that a balance that you feel is important for a fighter to have?
Absolutely. You should have confidence in your ability, and humility in dealing with others is my deal. Like, you should be very confident in who you are and what you can do, but you should be very humble in that how you treat other people around you. So humility comes from how you come at the world. Confidence comes from how you come at yourself.
The nerves fighter experiences before a fight, how do you use that to your advantage? How do you make those nerves work for them?
Well, nerves they're there for a reason. They keep you alive. So a little bit of nerves is really good. It makes your senses sharp, focuses you. So as long as you have good guidance on being like, okay, I know you're nervous, keep your breathing under control, stay focused. Being nervous is a really good thing. I would be nervous if they weren't nervous. I'll put it that way, because you need that adrenaline, you need that focus, you need your senses aware and open.
Who do you feel is the next big star in your gym? Maybe a relatively unknown guy who might be making waves in the future. Anybody come to mind?
At the moment, Phil Haas would be somebody you'd want to take a look at. He's very good. What's his record? 3-0 now. He's 3-0 now, and he's going to be very good. Haws, Phil Haas, and he's going to be something special.
Oh, okay, very good. Something Travis Brown said, you helped him before a fight when he fought Chad Griggs. I thought it was really interesting. He said he told you that he felt his arms were dead, his legs were dead, he was already tired, but then he said that you got him to relax, start laughing, and loosen up, and then he was fine. I was just wondering, like, what was he experiencing there, and can you explain what you were able to do to change that in him and help him out?
Well, he wanted to fight like outside of his personality. In other words, he wanted to get to get in there and fight, but that's not Travis. Travis he's a likable, affable guy. He wants to get in there and relax and have fun, and he wasn't having fun. And so to get him to relax again, I just started goofing around with him to make sure he knew it wasn't a big deal, and it wasn't a large there's no pressure and expectation. You just got to relax and and it's a sport and have fun with it, and you have to keep that in mind. And so my methodology with him was just to kind of goof around with him to get him to relax and chill out, because when he relaxes and chills out, he's incredibly dangerous.
Do you feel that's like really important, just that personalized approach? Like every fighter is kind of different. Like you
Yes.
really have to know the person to coach them properly.
You have to, like Sun Tzu said, know yourself and know your enemy, and then you have to know your fighter. You have to know what you're dealing with. And if you know what you're dealing with, then you can best help them. If you don't know your fighter, then it's much harder. But yeah, everybody is different, and you have to approach them differently.
And now Travis has moved on to a different camp, but it seems you're like very open to having your fighters do whatever they feel they need is best for them to advance to the next level. Is that sort of your philosophy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a lot about just clicking. You got to click at the right time in the right place. And sometimes you train with people, and all of a sudden that clicks, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. I never want to hold anybody back. I always want to push people forward. And if that's what's best for them, then I'm behind them 100%. Because it's not about me. It's about the fighter.
Right.
It's their journey. I'm just a guide. So if I was able to help him out a little bit along his journey, I'm just so thankful that I had that opportunity. And if it works out there where he's happy, then I'm happy. And to me, that's the most important thing, is getting somewhere on your journey.
Right. And you study many different forms of arts, and you try and take from them. I was just wondering which art outside of martial arts has been most effective that you've learned from and have been able to apply to MMA. Anything come to mind?
The best martial arts teacher I've ever had is music. The structure of Bach, especially in or hemiolas or any of these concepts, because music and fighting are both rhythm. And so understanding the rhythm base of music and then transcribing that into combat is very important. And it goes for any combat, whether you're shooting, you're fighting, whatever it is. Everything has an underlying rhythm to it. And so if you study and kind of tweak that rhythm around a little bit, it improves you.
Miyamoto Musashi, you said you respect him a lot. Like, what are a couple of the most applicable tenets of his philosophy that you've been able to apply to MMA?
There's no, I'll put it this way, I respect that guy so much, there's no philosophy that isn't applicable to MMA or combat. I think he had the best hand-to-hand combat book ever written, period. And so every single chapter, every single thing that he does is important. I think one of the most important things is his work on the void, when that's where flipping your switch comes in. And that's where you're able to flip your switch, and your conscious and subconscious are working in tandem together. So your conscious mind sees, okay, every time I attack this guy, his head's going this way. Your subconscious job at that point is then to pick that up, and so you'll throw a head kick even before you throw the head kick, and then you catch him with it. If those two things are working in tandem together, that's that flow experience where you